Welcome back to the Turnaround Boardroom. I am your host, Paul Maskill, and this podcast is for home service business owners who want to understand their numbers better. We stop lying to ourselves. We remove our emotions, our ego, and our excuses, and we're going to let the numbers guide us. We focus on helping home service business owners create predictable profitability and consistent positive cash flow. Today, we have a fellow home service business owner on the show. This is his story. Remember, all of our episodes discuss real businesses. Nothing discussed should be considered financial, legal, or tax advice for your situation because every business, including yours, is different. Today, we have with us Ryan Grimes. Ryan is the owner of Beltway Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing, a fast-growing HVAC and plumbing company built on hard work, innovation, and a people-first culture. Starting with a small team and a big vision, Ryan has helped grow Beltway into one of the area's most recognized home service companies, known for its strong company culture, commitment to customer service, and bold branding. Passionate about leadership and continuous growth, Ryan believes in creating opportunities for his team while constantly pushing the company forward through training, development, and community impact. So that is Ryan Grimes. Ryan, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the reach out. So, over the years, it's been a lot of hard work, a lot of almost going to zero over the many years. So, definitely getting the finances in order is something that I think we perfected last year with a lot of help. And, very proud of where the team is and where the team's going. All glory to them and God. So
awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. And this will definitely help the other listeners out there. They might be in a spot that you were at. They strive to be a spot where you are at now. So let's just get into it. How did you get started? How did Beltway Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing get its start?
I was a technician for many years. I did service. I did installs. I wanted to get into sales, and my boss told me you could never get into sales. So then I got a sales job somewhere else. In that journey, I outsold the whole company. I had a huge chip on my shoulder. I really cared about, just kind of proving myself that, hey, I can do this. Only issue is I worked for a company that was PE, and they were used to taking car salesmen and making them HVAC salesmen. So I got to get released from their training program quite early, and I was out on my own selling, did very well, and I thought I had a $12,000 commission check coming, and I got a $350 training paycheck. And I was very poor at the time. I was already 3 months behind on my rent. My now wife, then girlfriend, gave me the money because a friend of mine called me and said, hey, man, I got a property down in Section 8 in Annapolis you can go do. You just need to get down here to bid on it. I didn't have any money to go bid on it. So thankfully, my girlfriend, now wife, gave me the money to just at least get down there, put the bid in, and then I won the bid, and we started Beltway shortly after that. There's a lot involved in that story. That's why we have a rocket on top of our vans, is to kind of mimic Toy Story in a bit, because when I got the contract, I quit my job. They were on their way with the equipment delivery, and they said, wait a minute, you're 22 years old. You have no money, you have no credit, you have no backing. And we're not giving you these 100 air conditioners. So I went on the side of the building and started crying. I called my dad, and I said, Dad, this is everything that happened. What do I do? And he said, well, have you ever seen Toy Story? And I was like, oh, man. And he's like, that scene where Woody and Buzz get shot up in the air, and he says, look, Buzz, we're flying. And Buzz says, we're not flying, we're falling with style. That's my dad's best way, just saying, hey, man, glass half full. Try to do what you can, but you got to keep your composure. So kept my composure, walked over to Dave DeVito. Dave said, hey, man, I'm really, really angry about this moment right now, but I'm going to put all these air conditioners on my American Express, but you better be here 7 days a week installing them. And I said, yes, sir, faster than anyone's ever said yes. He gave me the opportunity. My girlfriend gave me the opportunity. And, I got robbed 3 times during the project. I was there. I had to pay people to protect me. A lot of stuff transpired on that project. And at the end of that project, I had $15,000. I put $5,000 on Home Advisor, $5,000 on 2004 vans, and then I did 5,000 back to all the IOUs that I had out there. My rent, my creditors called me the whole time, paid, got them off my back, ran the company to zero again, and that's where I am now. Here we are 8 years later, one of the fastest growing companies, Baltimore's best place to work, and we're hanging around 50 employees.
That's incredible. Love the story. I don't think anybody will forget that story, no matter who you tell. So you're at 50 employees now. I know a lot of your intro is about culture, about leadership, about training. So you obviously put people first, which sometimes as we grow and the numbers get tight, it's hard to put people first. How have you been able to maintain, to get to 50 employees, one of the best places to work in the area? How have you been able to maintain that while also maintain profitability? I know you alluded you went to zero, more than once, but now you've got your numbers dialed in. But what was kind of the story or genesis there of putting people first and getting to where you are today?
Yeah, I remember it was a couple of years ago. I think it was 3 years ago. I was kind of running a little bit lean. I knew summer was kind of on the way, but we got 1,000 reviews on Google, and I just really wanted to celebrate that. That was a big moment for us. So what we did is we did a 1,000 review party. I mean, we had limos come in, we went indoor skydiving, and then we went to Topgolf, and all of that cost every bit of 10 grand. And I didn't necessarily have the 10 grand to spend. And what that did for my culture, though, and the talent that recruited, the talent that I was able to keep, was phenomenal. And, if you spend money on your people, I genuinely believe it always comes back. And, really hiring A players changes your business more than you know. And most A players don't want to come work for the $2-3 million guy. They just don't. And that's the hardest grind, in my opinion, is from 0 to 3 million. You have to grow from 0 to 3 with a bunch of losers, in my opinion. Because who wants to work for those guys? It's the alcoholics. It's the people who show up late. It's the people who don't want to work 40 hours. That's what you got to do. And now that we're an established company, and we're moving forward, people look at it as, oh, I want to work there now. So part of our onboarding process, I know I'm kind of derailing a little bit, but part of our interview process, we show them pictures of, hey, it's three canvases in our hallway of like, here's the team having fun, here's the team having fun again, here's the team having fun off company time. These 3 people signed up for a race together. These people did a sleepover with their children and did like s'mores and stuff. And then we kind of go through our hallway of canvases of showing like we care about you, no, like for real, people like this place. And then it's our work, and then it's the last one is our beginnings. And what I often find is when they do their intake form and they wrote like, I don't know, I want $50 an hour, a lot of times they'll scratch it out after seeing those photos and then write 40 or 35, because it goes from, this is just another place, I'll see what they can give me, to that different mindset of what can I give this place. And I think that's how you got to shape people's mind. Is I had a guy. He said, "Hey man, I went to my mom's house and I put in 410, and it was Beltway's 410, and then I went to the supply house and I bought my own jug of 410. I don't know what it is about this place, but if I was working in the PE company he said he was working for, I would have just took there and ran. I didn't do that here. I don't know why." And they all understand I try to work on having a personal relationship with all of them. And to where how they get cared for now is system, it's a system on how they get cared for now. And it's the manager's job to care for them. But I still view it as my job to at least send them a text. Out of the 50 that we have, I try to sit down and have lunch with them once a year. Let them show them that I care. And I think that really kind of curves the atmosphere to like, oh, I'm really cared about and I'm going to put my best foot forward, and you're going to get a lot more juice when you squeeze it.
Yeah, I mean it's so true. Once they're once their basic financial needs are met, they actually don't want or need any more money. They rather they want a place where they enjoy going to every day, and they build that community, they build that culture, they build the friendship, and they really build the family, because at the end of the day, we're spending 40 to 50 hours a week at this place. So we might as well enjoy going there. So I'm curious, when you started, obviously you started kind of like, on a whim, more or less, out of frustration, out of not getting a check that you thought you were going to get. But what was your goal when you started the business? Maybe like after that first, hey, I'm just going to go do this project and make some money. Like after that, what was the initial vision that you had when you started the company?
I think I always had it in my mind to be an entrepreneur. My grandfather owned Grimes and Sons Painting. My dad owns a kitchen business in Annapolis, remodel. And, it's kind of almost in my blood. My dad definitely raised us to have an entrepreneurial mindset. Growing up, I would take the kitchen cabinets out of the flip houses my dad was doing, and I would clean them up and then sell them on Craigslist. And we did a lot of that. Anything that we can buy and sell. Scrapping was a big thing too. When you got a truck, doing pickup runs and things like that. So the entrepreneurial mindset has always been there. There's a saying my dad likes to say is there's many different ways you can dig a hole. You can dig it with a screwdriver, you can dig it with a backhoe, or you can pay someone to dig the hole. And it's how much is that hole worth, and how much money are you making when you dig that hole. So giving that mindset, I always knew I wanted to go in business for myself. I didn't anticipate myself going into business as early as I did. Going back to it, I'm happy that I went into business at 22. Because now with 3 kids, 3 under 4, like there's zero chance I would ever recommend that to somebody. Just because you can either choose to be a businessman or you can choose to be a dad, and sometimes it's hard.
For sure. Well, kudos to you for doing it at 22. Like you said, now with where you're at, family and everything like that, it's a lot easier now that you've already been doing this for 8 years instead of starting it today, and taking that risk and putting your family potentially through all the ups and downs of starting a business. So looking back over the last 8 years, what was the biggest moment that you questioned, what am I doing here? Like, because you said you've referenced, you alluded to, you went to zero more than once. What was like the biggest moment that you questioned what you were doing and if you made the right decision to go it on your own?
I remember staring at the ceiling fan a couple times, wondering if I'm going to lose this business or not. One being just the first year in business and staring at the ceiling fan, watching it go and go. I couldn't afford to pay the rent. Thankfully, my wife, she's the most frugal, best woman you'll ever meet in your life. And she was able to help out on the rent even after the first year, because she's such a good support. She's such a good soundboard for me too. If I didn't have her, I wouldn't have this business for sure, just because of the mental strain that it takes on. When COVID came, we got a COVID loan, and then I spent it all on the radio, and it didn't really work out for me, although I really did love who I was working with on the radio end. It blew my one buddy's business up, but it didn't blow my business up. So those were some of the financial strange of like, man, what am I doing? To be honest with you, sometimes I question that now. Yesterday I had a lawsuit come across my desk, and it's just like, oh, great, this is the first time we're getting sued. And it's a pretty simple one, so I'm sure we'll never make it to court. Lady's just really upset, and we'll be able to take care of it. It shouldn't be a big deal, but I think when you become a more mature business owner, it's just the same thing with becoming a more mature person. Like when that came across my desk, I just didn't care. It is today's flavor of the problems. And I know they're going to get solved. How many times as business owners do we get in, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Is the money going to work out? Am I going to go out of business? And then time goes by and you made it through. Paul, we're going to do that 1,000 or 100 times. So why are we going to get more gray hairs, get more upset when we can just kind of like relax and the God is a big part of it as well. Like if you can kind of just, when you feel anxious, that's a good call to say, hey, I just need to kind of calm down and maybe pray about what I got going on. Not saying that religion is everybody's flavor, which is fine. but it is a tool we can use, whether it's that or meditating, to say, okay, let me just try to center myself and say, it's going to be okay. I hired really great people. The people around me are not going to let this fail. We're going to be cutting it close, but we're going to make it through. And I think that's what it's all about, that mindset. And we have the mindset to get after it, but we also have to have the mindset to be okay with the chaos and not let it get to our souls. Because what kind of father can I be if I'm so worried about these external things that I can't control anyway, you know?
Yeah, and it's funny when you mention like the problems and caring about them. Like whenever we take a second and look back at like the problems we were navigating 2 years ago, and now you look at them today, like why did we even think that was a problem, right? Like we always grow through it, and then when you look back, you're like, well, what were we so stressed about in the first place? So love that, kind of framing and mindset around that. So you had referenced radio ads and spending a whole bunch of money on there. Um, Outside of that, what were some like, whether it's core financial beliefs or something that you were like you had really strong conviction on from a financial standpoint that turned out to be false, other than, hey, I think these radio ads are going to work? Has there been anything else where you put a bunch of money into it and realized this wasn't the best idea or decision for the company?
Yeah, I said this on another podcast I was on. When it comes to your marketing spend, people get really upset and try to get a really good ROI. Last year, we ran at about a 10% marketing spend. This year, we float between 6 and 7. And when you look back at last year, most of our installs were from existing customers. It wasn't through the ROI of the marketing. And you really can't get a good ROI on your marketing until you get enough people in your customer database. And that's usually where I find a lot of people's lids are, especially in that $3 million range, is like, hey, you're just not going to be able to get the ROI back you need, in my opinion, going to 3 to 5 million until you have approximately, in my opinion, 5 to 8,000 customers is where I was at. And that really helped me break the lid to get to the 5 million, 6, 7, 8, and beyond. And we're on pace for 12 million, 20% net is what we're on pace for this year. A lot of people need to start talking about their net profit. And if I do 10 million at 20% net, I'm okay with that too. We are constantly worrying about the net. Who cares what the top line is? But you start saying that once you get above 7, 8, because, once you're making over $2 million a year, you're like, all right, cool. Yeah, this is making a lot more sense. You can start making sense of the bottom line. So there's no shame in, trying to get up that top number and then focusing in on the bottom. And that's what we're doing. When it comes to, I forgot what your original question was. Can you repeat it for me?
Just kind of like any other financial decisions that you thought were a good investment at the time that turned out to not be so great.
Yeah. People talk about selling techs versus salesmen in the home. I think there's a time and place for both, whether you're doing one model or another. We've tried that model. We've tried this model. I'm really trying to think over the years, because a lot of things we chip away at and you don't necessarily see the benefit from way after. It cost us last year $500,000 on the rebrand. And I think that was a wonderful investment. But there's absolutely been things, plumbing. When we opened up plumbing because there was a company that went out of business, and then they gave us their customer database. Well, we didn't really actually get much from it. I thought it was just going to like triple or double our company. We didn't get a ton from it. Their customers weren't really hot on fire about them, hence why they kind of went out of business. So then we started a plumbing thing. And then we couldn't really get too much traction on the plumbing service, so we started plumbing commercial. And then I realized, okay, commercial, those guys run at about a 35% margin. Residential HVAC should be running at 65% margin. And then now you're having people go, yeah, we can be a commercial and a heating and air, or a residential company, and do both well. You can't. You're running at two different margins. And that's why I've never seen a company that's like 10 out of 10 on residential, 10 out of 10 on commercial, because you're going to kind of conflict up and down. I don't know if you've seen it, and feel free to tell me if you have. We've spent about we had an $80,000 loss in plumbing And then we had to have a plumbing meeting and let go of everybody. That sucked. But if you flood a school, that sucks even more. So,
Yeah, no, and you're spot on about, the difference between commercial and residential and even the people that dabble in new construction. It's like it's different models, different type of people you need for those models. And it's right, like the best businesses, even the billion-dollar corporations, the best ones do one thing really, really well before they go do anything else. So that's really good insight on a lot of different decisions you guys have made, whether it's the radio ads, spending $500,000 on the rebrand, looking at your marketing spend, when you're small, and like you said, building that database and understanding, what's our marketing percentage going to be. So you mentioned, 10 to 12 million, 20% net, shooting for a 65% gross margin. What are some other KPIs, whether it's financial KPIs or technician or call booking rate? What are the ones that you pay attention to on a daily basis to know, hey, we're doing really well, or hey, there might be a problem here?
it's really just being the biggest KPI is the A player in the truck. That is the biggest KPI we track and follow closely. And it's a lot of getting a guy in, getting the right guy in. And, a lot of times, here's what I did last year. Last year, I hired a bunch of people. We dominated summer. We made such good money. But we also had a lot of hiccups along the way because we had these B and C players. Come September, we just cut the B and C players. One problem I'm kind of coming up against now, and I'm open for feedback on it, is a guy came up to me and was like, hey, can we not cut these people that you just hired? Because they're all like really cool and I like working with them. And I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, crap. Because it's a lot, it's impossible not to keep anybody busy in summer. Like, it is so busy, right? So now I'm like, okay, well, if we did really good with hiring, we did hire a lot of great people, we can't cut anyone in September without taking a major culture hit. Now what? And really dialing in our service contracts. So that's one KPI we follow a lot is our marketing spend, our service contracts, and our net profit. Those are the three that we're constantly dialing in, constantly looking at. We're on House Call Pro, so really dialing in average ticket conversion rate and booking rate. That's harder to dial in. I'm currently making a software that helps you dial that in. I've talked to the owners of House Call Pro. They're really excited about it. They like the platform that I showed them. That's going to be rolling out internally for Beltway in June. And then in the fall, we'll release it out to other people. What was I going to say? I made an offer to a company in Philly, ended up not going through, which is fine. Still friends with the guy. I'm actually helping him out on something right now. And I told him, I said, Landis, I don't know how to grow a company off of hardcore numbers, booking rate, average ticket conversion rate. I've figured out how to get a company to the profitability that we are at by just having a phenomenal culture, and I know I have A players. If there's money to be made out with those guys are going to make it. And with the training aspect as well, we do a lot on training. Training is all voluntary unless you're in the maintenance bracket of the team. Then it's mandatory. Training is unpaid. And we have guys come in. We do 2 trainings a week. Sometimes we back it down to 1, depending on how hectic it gets. But just sitting there, whether it's a sales training about air quality, training about how TXV or refrigerant works. We have a nice little training center in our room, like training. There's always a good ROI back on all of that as well. And so we really, really focus big on that because we want people to be technicians first and then learn to sell. And that's how we operate.
That's awesome. So as we start to wrap this up, just curious, like some of the shifts you've had to make, as you have alluded to, right? There's like different stages of business. First, we got to get, we're in the 1 to 3 range, and then we get to the 5 range, and then we get to the 10 range as far as millions in revenue. And there's different stages of leadership, different stages of organizational structure. What were some of the things you either had to stop doing or some things you had to start doing along the way to get to where you are today, with, 50 employees?
Yeah, last year, I had a business mentor. His name was Lou Habaika, and he would hit me over the head month after month on looking at our P&L and really dialing that in. And he helped me dial in a P&L really great so that way I could have a very profitable company, and I have a profitable company because of him, 100%. And things that I've had to do is we're always the bottleneck of our company. So things that would keep me up at night were if someone hit our House Call Pro Assist, like the after-hours phone service, that would keep me up at night. So then I told Gary, our operations manager, I said, Gary, this keeps me up at night. I need it to keep you up at night. I'm leaving the group chat, you're entering, and you need to make sure everyone is getting back to these calls within 5 minutes. The office had a group chat with me, and they would ask technical questions. I left the group chat. I told the service manager, come in here. So my biggest advice for people is leave the group chat. Stop knowing everything that's going on down to the minute detail, and allow yourself to be more present with your kids. Because your kids are not going to remember, they are going to remember if you're just staring at your phone the entire time while you're with them playing dinosaurs or whatever it may be. So the more moves you can make to be present with your kids, the things that are keeping you up at night, the biggest shift you need to do is allow other people to think about your business at night. How you cultivate that is how you treat them, how much vision you cast to them, and show how much you care about what they're doing. And oh, by the way, pay them a lot of money to do it, because you can't buy back time.
I think that's an incredible way to close on this conversation. Ryan Grimes, thank you so much for coming on the show today, imparting all of your wisdom, experience, and expertise to our listeners. If anybody out there wants to connect with you to talk shop, what's the best way to do so?
Yep. My email is ryan@beltwayhvac.com. My personal number is 410-507-3015. Reach out to me. I love helping people for nothing. I was stuck for many years, so I really don't want people to go through the suck that I went through. So happy to help anybody.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Ryan. Guys, if you feel the need to reach out to Ryan, please do so. I feel it's one of the biggest powerful things within the industry of home services. Everybody's willing to help. You just got to reach out to them. Ryan, thank you again for coming to the show. And everybody else out there, if this episode sounds familiar or inspires you and you want to be a guest on the show, send me an email, paul@thebluecollaradvisors.com. Our number one focus is interviewing home service business owners who are either stuck in the grind or they've made it to the other side.